Those of you that know me well will say that I'm only shooting this video because I just got off the phone with Kaiser and it's impossible to book an appointment with them without jumping through all of these hoops. They seriously act like they pay you, but that is not why I'm shooting this video. I was going to shoot this video anyway. Okay, we're talking about the NPCs and how we become like the machines. On this channel, we believe that all humans are human, not NPCs, but humans may act like NPCs under certain conditions. We struggle to stay human while the AI and the algorithm begin to dominate our lives. We assert our humanity. I am better than the AI because I'm a human. Well, what does it mean to be a human? We're slowly losing what it means to be a human amongst all this tech. We're merging with the tech. And some of that is good, some of that is progress, but some of that is bad. Some of that is regression. Kaiser, I'm looking at you. Anyway, let's go through some examples right now that we can all understand. And this is not applicable to me. We can all understand these. First and foremost, our inner dialogue. What do we say to ourselves when we're alone or when we think that we're alone, when nobody else is looking? What do we say when everything is quiet? Well, everybody's always looking, unfortunately, and it's never quiet anymore. There's never quiet in here. So think about this. My oldest brother has a baby monitor, and he used to speak to his son through that baby monitor. Now, his son grew up thinking, at least when he was a baby, that he was always being watched over by his father. Father could say, "Son, stop fussing." Now, some of you might say that this is very similar to religious people, thinking that the father, capital F, is always watching over them, always keeping a watchful eye, that nothing that they do can go unseen. Kind of like Santa, but God is Santa in this situation. Okay, fair enough. This is the internalized guardian, and it makes us better people, so we say. However, we still form a sense of the self under the watchful eye of the other, whether it be God or the Father, God the Father, regardless. Now, moving on, but think about social media. Teens grow up always being seen. Well, that's pretty obvious. They must move and act to please the crowd. They may form an avatar that lines up with their avatar online, and that really kind of follows the whims of the crowd. And then they must adapt themselves to this avatar that they have formed. You got to check out that video, the one on Wetiko, and also the one on presentation of self in everyday life. And that's how we make the self. And sometimes the self conforms to what the crowd wants. Now, some take it to extremes and they make this avatar that is absolutely nothing like them. And then they insist that others affirm their avatar. And it's like, that's really hard. It's fantasy at that point. Now, most of us don't take it so far. So the process isn't so insidious. We don't really see what's going on, but that's what's happening. As far as the quiet goes, the quiet time we're supposed to form ourselves, when do we sit in silence? Of course, there is no quiet anymore. This is a mute point. Any lull in the day, any slow point in the day is filled with social media, and it's telling us what to think. It's in that quiet that we're supposed to be daydreaming or ruminating. Depending on where you are in your life, you're either daydreaming or ruminating in your quiet time. And we do need to daydream, but ruminating is bad. So it's kind of a mixed bag that we have the phone. Nevertheless, it is in this quiet time that the self is formed, where we can reflect on ourselves and see where we fit in with the world. And where is that quiet anymore? It's filled with what other people have to say. Also, go back and check out that video on boxes, how we put ourselves into a box like cats do. Cats will see a box and just get in it. I made this whole video at the peak of 2020 identity politics hysteria. We put ourselves in these convenient little boxes, which will align with, whatever we think we are. So I'm a white man. I'm not, but let's say you are. I'm a white man from this college, so this is how I act. Or I'm an Asian woman from this state, so this is how I act. And so we form our identity that way. How we identify actually does affect our behavior at a subconscious level. They've done studies on this. It is so insidious. We can't really see it. Now, nevertheless, it can be used for good. You can tell your children, hey, look, you are a Johnson, and that means something. Assuming your last name is Johnson. And then this child might be more likely to get straight A's or stop at the scene of an accident. So that's how it's used for good. Technology is ethically neutral. Anyway, but we see something truly upsetting when it comes to dating here. I touched on this in last week's Patreon video. So if you're on Patreon, you kind of heard this, but you haven't heard it in this form. We're talking about that a woman wants a man who is 6 feet tall and makes 6 figures. Now, I stand by what I said. I said that 5'10" standing up straight is better than 6 feet slumped over any day of the week. I stand by that. We think of it because it's a category in online dating, and we're such silly creatures. This is a box, and it's important, so I have to check it. Now, what if they started adding bench to the apps? Now, all of a sudden, bench becomes important. We're not thinking about height anymore because it didn't ask that. We're talking about bench. Now, do we all of a sudden start appreciating the importance of practical strength, or did the computer give us a different prompt? Now, I don't want to hear any misogynistic comments here about women date like this and women are all like this. It's not about this. I do not believe that this is particular to women or that women are dumber to men. Men seem to also obsess over other arbitrary features that really fall apart. They fall apart when they're more closely examined, like what a woman's weight is, what her cup size is. Oh, I need a girl that's 110 pounds and she's a 34 double D. Like, these dudes don't even know what that means. Just like girls don't know what 6 feet means. They really don't. Like, looking at a person, you can tell better how they come across and how healthy and fit they are than a number on a screen. And this is a tangent. This is a stupid tangent. Is that we don't know what 6 feet means. And so when we find someone who is 6 feet, we project what we feel his personality should be on him. And he was never that man to begin with. Like, you wanted a strong man. And you think you equate 6 feet with strong. Or for men, they want a girl who's, let's say, 110 pounds, 34 double D. You project onto her what you think that means. What you meant was you want a healthy, feminine woman. But that's not what those measurements mean. Those measurements are kind of arbitrary. This is projection. You're like casting for a role and you expect this person to act the part. You didn't want that man or woman to begin with. You wanted the idea of her or him. And when this person doesn't fit your ideal, you call them a failure. But it's us or you in this situation, because you're the one doing on the dating app. You're the failure to begin with. This is why I'm so over dating apps. But he checked all the right boxes. Why is our relationship a sham? Maybe those boxes didn't mean anything at all. Maybe they were just arbitrary numbers. You can't really fit a human into a box. Humanity transcends all of this. You can fit a half machine into a box, and that's unfortunate. But I guess we've got to decide if we are humans or if we are machines. The machines are kind of remaking us in their image. And this is a tangent, but 6 figures, is that 6 figures with benefits? Because if it's not, it's actually 5 figures, which is also fine. Do you know how much health insurance is? This is not a video about health insurance. I know I started it complaining about my health insurance. Nevertheless, I can't make every video about how stupid health insurance is in the United States. I should. This should be the entire channel is me complaining about health insurance. And you know that's how they make us serfs, right? They tie you to a job because that job has health insurance and you're afraid to leave because you can't afford the $1,500 plus or whatever it is a month to actually insure your family. So now we become serfs because of this stupid health insurance. But this is not a video about health insurance. I swear it's not. Just about boxes. Keep a note in your mind of how much the census boxes or the drop-down boxes affect your views on what matters. Okay, whether it's race or it's age or it's income, these numbers, these titles, we give so much weight and actually they mean very little. Once you start picking them apart, they mean very little. There's this great video on how this white man fooled all of these black people into thinking that he was black. And how did he do that, you ask? Well, he was raised in a black family. He was raised in a hood in a black family. He's culturally more black than someone who went to an all-white private school in the suburbs. So what does it mean to be black then? If he could fool all these people blindfolded, what does it mean? Well, it's a box in the census. And if it's melanin, you can buy melanin now. Did you know that? Like, you can inject yourself with melanin. I'm not going to go into it. But he checks all the boxes. He checks the white box. But really, he's kind of black. Basically, we are not these boxes. These boxes are a tool that we are employing. But the second we forget that, we then become more like the machines. I said I wasn't going to talk about Kaiser, and I'm not. I'm going to talk about other examples entirely. I'm going to talk about the programs we use for work. Nothing to do with Kaiser. And it might be a lot of me just complaining about the modern world, but I'm sure you can relate. Have you ever noticed that employees that are forced to use these absurd programs for customer service, programs that they hate, by the way, they never even liked these programs, but when customers complain, these employees become defensive of the program. Shouldn't you side with the human? Shouldn't you side with the human against the machine? Because you hate the machine yourself. Okay, example one. Example one. I'm getting tickets for this comedy show. It was about a month ago. My friends are performing. I'm going to support my friends. You know how I do. Anyway, I'm going to pay with cash because I want to avoid this fee, this stupid $5 fee they asked. It's a processing fee. Like, what processing what? Anyway, paid with cash so I can avoid this fee. That doesn't work. Okay, so the price of the ticket isn't $25, it's $30. Just tell me that because I can't go up to the front and pay with cash regardless. I just hate lies. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, this girl, she asked me for my name, my telephone number, and my email. And I asked why, and she says, well, our computer is asking. And I had to explain to her that I'm paying with cash. And she's like, well, the computer wants to know. And I just told her, I was like, look, I am paying with cash. You do not need that information. And she just repeats, I don't need that information. But she kind of had like an attitude about it. And it turns out she didn't need that information. Huh. Looks like I was right. This girl was just going to do whatever the computer told her to do. But she did seem a little annoyed by it. Like, you're annoyed with me. Be annoyed with this computer. Girl, why are you defending this program? Do you want my money or not? That's all I'm saying is, do you want my money? Because I'm willing to give it to you, even though it's $5 more than the ticket price. Anyway, I just want to go to a show without getting logged into their system. Is that too much to ask? Can a person exist without intrusions? Every other person in that line did give her that information. Didn't even ask why they needed it. I guess most people just do what they're told. They're just going to do what they're told. And we've learned that. We've learned that these past few years. Now, we will address universal ID and that kind of being needed in the age of AI at a later date. I understand the arguments for that on both sides. We kind of need to confirm we are who we are when you're talking on the phone or, over Zoom, but I'm talking to you in person. And this is cash. It has nothing to do with that. That's another video entirely. Okay, example 2. Example 2 of me complaining. The self-checkout at the grocery store. So I'm great at self-checkout. My first job in high school, I was like a freshman or sophomore, and they would hire 15-year-olds back then, was as a cashier. So I can put 90% of these working cashiers to shame. Bananas, 40.11. Lemons, 40.53. Broccoli, 30.82. These are the PLU codes. I'm fast, I'm quick. It was almost 20 years ago at this point, but I'm still doing it. So if there's a problem, it's not my fault. It's the machine's. It's because the machine is broken or the machine isn't sensitive enough. And maybe it shouldn't be used in the real world just yet. That's all I'm saying. Stupid machine. Like, are you using your own bags? I felt a weight. Like, obviously I am using my own bags because I'm not going to pay you 15 cents per bag. I already paid you the 15 cents. That's how I have the bag. This is in California. In California, you have to buy your own bags at the grocery store because plastic, too much plastic. But everything in the store is packaged in plastic. Well, give us your money for the bag. I'm not even going to talk about it. The self-checkout. I'm mad at the self-checkout. And yet the lady who mans the self-checkout is defensive about the machine. How do you take the side of the machine over me, a human you see at least twice a week? And I know she recognizes me. I'm the one always there cursing out this machine. I am a memorable person. My favorite is the grumpy old man I saw there, and he was in line. He had one item. And they're like, oh, you can go to the self-checkout, sir. And he's like, I don't work here. And he stood in line and he got checked out. I know that man has ruined so many Thanksgivings, and I don't care. I love that old man. I saw him once and never again. He probably stopped going to that grocery store, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Okay. Example 3. How humans have become like the machine. Have you recently tried to get a loan to buy land? Do you know how hard it is? They'll give you $400,000 to buy a house, whatever the condition the house is in. But if you want land, they will run you through hoops. Hey, I would like to borrow half of my yearly income to buy a parcel of land. I can pay it back with the money I save on Postmates. Sorry, we can't do that because paperwork. Okay, I would like to borrow 8 times my yearly income to buy this house. Maybe I'll pay it back. Maybe I'll lose my job. I don't know. Right this way, madam. You can have all that. Why? Well, paperwork says that alligator eat house, not land. Think about it. Such a convincing argument, huh? Okay, well, how about I take out $200,000 at the age of 18 for a gender studies degree? I have no income and I don't believe in money. Of course you can, miss. Of course you can take out $200,000. And this is because humans have become cogs in a machine, the machine of bureaucracy. And there is nobody there to actually speak to. They're following rules. Where is George Bailey when you need him? Because he'd have given us this money for the land. Anyway, the people who handle the loans don't have as much agency. And if they do demand agency, they get replaced with a dumber cog who won't question things. Bureaucracy. Remember this, bureaucracy was the machine way before we had computers. Computers are just the next step in the process. Now you say, Maya, you sound like an incredibly difficult person. That is true. But since when do we not get to be difficult people? Like, this is a free country. This is a free country. We get to be who we are. As long as you're not difficult. Remember that. As long as you don't ask for things you think you're entitled to, as long as you don't question the machine. Human. Very difficult. Human is the optimal word here. I can discern and a computer cannot. And I expect other humans to be able to discern. But once you stop discerning, how different are we from the machine? If you just take prompts and respond accordingly, well, why shouldn't we be replaced by the AI? Not to be a jerk, but what benefit does a person have over AI if all they do is take prompts and then put something else out? Input, output. The AI, it doesn't need a bathroom or maternity leave or lunch break. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but it's the truth as I see it. Now, if I'm wrong, you will let me know in the comments. Also, if you have ever tried to book an appointment with Kaiser, tell us your horror stories below. Subscribe.